Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football, continuing to take a look at the next week's slate and heading out to the Big Ten West as Iowa heads on the road to play Nebraska in a game that's so exciting for a couple different reasons. You look at the Iowa Hawkeyes, the bunch of noise and chatter around the future of this Iowa program under Kirk Ferentz, Brian Ferentz. What does this program do? They turn around, they go out and win the Big Ten West. They're sitting at 9-2, a chance to win 10 ball games in 2023. Classic Iowa Hawkeyes football. I mean, is it always pretty? No, but they're winning games. And that's what Iowa does under Kirk Ferentz. And you look at Nebraska, the most exciting part about this game for Nebraska, you're sitting at 5-6, a chance to make a bowl game. And it's not the bowl game. For the fans and for myself, it's exciting to see Nebraska have an opportunity to make a bowl game, get that extra month of practice, especially for the young guys on this roster. But more importantly, this represents an opportunity for Nebraska to figure out how to win football games. That's been the key for this Nebraska team. There's a reason Nebraska is a 1-point favorite against a top 15 team in the country, because Nebraska's a good football team. They're just still trying to figure out how to win these kind of games. And this is a massive opportunity on senior day in Lincoln to kind of figure out how to win this game. Really excited to get into this one. Before we do, just want to say thank you to you guys, the support that you guys have shown the boys, especially from the Big Ten fans. It really does mean a lot. Can't thank you guys enough. If you do enjoy the content, you want to support the fellas, best way to do that, subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys rocking with this. And without further ado, let's get into this one. And I want to start with this Nebraska offense going up against an Iowa defense. And we say this year after year after year, death taxes, Phil Parker putting out an elite Iowa Hawkeye defense. You lose guys like Jack Campbell and Van Ness, two first-round guys, and you just reload. And even without your All-American cornerback and Cooper DeJean, this Iowa defense is still phenomenal, especially in the back end. And when you look at the keys to this game, can Nebraska run the football? Because throwing against this Iowa secondary is going to be extremely difficult. You're looking at an Iowa secondary that's only given up 4.8 yards per pass attempt. That's number 2 in the country. You take a look at what Iowa does extremely well. They make everything hard, especially down and attacking that deeper third. The throwing windows, extremely, extremely tight. These Iowa defensive backs know how to play the football and turn the ball over. Nebraska does not want to ask Chubba Purdy or whoever's out there playing for Nebraska at the quarterback position to push the ball down the field often against an Iowa secondary that is as good and as dangerous as this Iowa secondary is. And so you look at what Nebraska needs to do to have success this game. It's running the football and staying on schedule, right? And I say staying on schedule because those first 2 drives against Wisconsin was about as good as we've seen this Nebraska offense look. They stayed on schedule. They hit the 2 explosive plays, and they scored 2 touchdowns. After that drive, especially in the second half, you take a look at the drive chart for the second half against Wisconsin. They came out. They had 4 straight punts, 3 of which were 3-and-outs. And you look at what changed. What did Nebraska struggle with in the second half that they were doing well against Wisconsin in the first half? It was not staying on schedule, taking tackles for a loss, taking negative plays, getting yourself in 2nd and 12 and 3rd and longs where that playbook is a little bit more condensed. This is a Nebraska team that gave up 8 tackles for a loss against Wisconsin. Most of those came in the second half. And why did that offense struggle in the second half? Because they were looking at those 3rd and long situations. And we know, looking at this Nebraska offense, this is not a team that wants to be in 3rd and long situations. 1, you don't have that run threat. 2, you don't want to ask these quarterbacks to sit in the pocket and push the ball down the field. That's just not how this team is built, right? And so you look at what Nebraska needs to do. It needs to run the football. It needs to stay on schedule. And if there is one thing that Nebraska fans can be extremely excited about in the future for this Matt Rhule era, the development of the offensive line has kind of flown under the radar because Nebraska has struggled the last couple of weeks. It has gotten meaningfully better. And that is the one thing you ask, why did Scott Frost fail in Lincoln? The development of the offensive line just wasn't there. You're already seeing in Matt Rhule's first year a group that has gone through multiple injuries up front, looked not very good early on in the season, morph into a quality offensive line that is able to protect, that is able to get the run game going. That is going to be the identity of this Nebraska team moving forward under Matt Rhule, and to see the offensive line and the players on that group get developed the way they've had the last 10 weeks, that's really exciting for Nebraska fans. So You look at the keys to the game. One, getting that run game going. If there's a weak part of this Iowa offense, Iowa defense, it is stopping the run and then staying on schedule. And the last one, the big bugaboo, doesn't even need mentioning, not turning the ball over, right? When Nebraska's winning football games, they're taking care of the football. When they're not winning football games, they're turning the football over. You look at the games against Michigan State and Maryland as pretty clear evidence. So you run the football, not turn the ball over, you're going to be able to have some success against an Iowa defense that is very good. Now, flipping the sides, this Iowa offense, going back and watching a few of these games, has shown some life. And I think that life has come in, one, Deacon Hill getting a little bit more confident in the system, but more importantly, they found their guy. This is an offense that throughout the year we've been asking, okay, Eric All, Luke Lachey, they've gone down with injuries. Who are going to be your playmakers down the field that can make something happen? And the answer for the majority of this season were kind of crickets, right? There wasn't really a playmaker, and that's why this Iowa offense continued to struggle. You look at the last 2 weeks, arguably the best offensive performances for the Iowa Hawkeyes, Caleb Brown's been the guy. The transfer from Ohio State, he's really good with the football in his hands, can create separation down the field. You're seeing them not force feed him, but make a pretty strong effort to get Caleb Brown the football in space and let good things happen. And that's kind of what you've seen. I mean, they had 400 total yards against Rutgers. The Iowa offense continued to look solid against Illinois. And I think a large part of that is Caleb Brown. You look at Nebraska, what they want to do to stop this Iowa offense, and you're looking at it, you're loading the box, and you're asking Deacon Hill to push the ball down the field. I think Tommy Hill, Malcolm Hartsock, they've been playing pretty solid on the outside. And you look at what Iowa wants to do. They want to run the football. They haven't been great at it, but they want to run the football. Nebraska, extremely good at stopping the run. And so what you're looking to do for the Nebraska Cornhuskers, you're loading the box and saying, hey, if you want to try to push the ball down the field and beat us vertically, we'll let you try to do that. But you haven't shown that you can do that for the first 11 games of the season. So you're loading the box, walking in those safeties, taking away the run game, and forcing Iowa to push the ball down the field. And if you can win on first and second down, that is where Tony White and this defense are most dangerous, right? That 3-3-5 where they put a bunch of guys along the line of scrimmage. You're not sure who's coming, who's dropping. That is where Nebraska wants to live on defense. And how do you do that? You get them in third and long, you stop the run on first and second down, and you turn it up on third down. Maybe force some turnovers, maybe get some short fields for that Nebraska offense. That's probably going to be the story of the game. And you look at who's going to win this football game, I would not be surprised if the team that wins the turnover margin is going to win this game, because you're looking at both of these offenses going up against elite defenses, and you're saying, I don't trust these offenses to consistently move the ball 80 yards down the field. And so you're trying to get short fields, you're trying to force turnovers, and you're trying to play field position. And the team that does that at the highest level, I think, wins this game. Now, getting to the pick, Nebraska, this is a weird line, right? Because this is an Iowa Hawkeyes team that's top 15 in the country, and they're 1-point underdogs against a 5-6 Nebraska team. I'm going to rock with Nebraska, and here's the reason why. You look at both of these offenses, and you look at what offense do you trust more to move the football more. It's this Nebraska team, because Iowa, if there's a weakness on that defense, it's probably stopping the run. And you look at Iowa, how are they moving the football against this Nebraska defense? So I think I trust Nebraska to run the football a little bit more, and I would be lying to tell you guys this isn't a little bit of a vibes play. I mean, Nebraska back against the wall. Their season's over if they don't win this football game. And so this is a must-win on Senior Day in Lincoln, Nebraska. Iowa already locked in the Big Ten West title. Sometimes you got to go with the wounded animal. This Nebraska team, it's a wounded animal. And I think they're going to play their hearts out. I think they're going to win this football game at home. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be low scoring. I really am looking forward to seeing Nebraska make that play in the fourth quarter to win them this football game. I don't care about the bowl game. They could be 4-6 right now. The bowl game is awesome. I think the bowl game is going to mean a lot for the development. But for me, the last game of the season, I want to see this Nebraska team make that play to win a football game against a really good team. And if you can have that confidence and head into next season with that kind of confidence, that's what you're most excited about. Fire me up. Nebraska taking care of business at home. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas as usual. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.